Hi learners, is glad to see you in Krishna's space. Today is a day 90 of our 300 days DSA journey. So it's time for our today's problem. Let's understand it. So today's problem is short colors. Here we have given an array called nums with n objects colored red, white or blue, and we have to sort them in place so that the objects of the same color are adjacent with the colors in the order red, white and blue. And we are going to use the integers 0, 1 and 2 to represent the color red, white and blue respectively. Also they have said that we must solve this problem without using the library's sort function. So that means we can't use the sort function here. So now let's get into the examples to understand it more better. So as we can see in the example 1, we have given an array and in the output they have arranged the order in 0, 1 and 2. Same in example 2 as well. So that means we have to arrange our array in 0, 1 and 2 order. So now let's understand how I have solved this problem. So to solve this problem, I have used two pointers approach here, in which we are basically going to arrange our zeros at left side of our array and 2's at right side of our array. We are not going to touch 1 because when we are going to arrange 0 at left side and 2 at right side, 1 will automatically get arranged. So now let's get into the code and understand it line by line. So as you can see, the first thing that I have done is to create three variables here, in which I have put 0 at left, which is basically going to denote the left side of my array, and in right I have put the last index of my array, which is going to denote the right side of my array, and then we have a variable I in which I have put 0, which is basically going to traverse in my array. After that I have done a loop in which the condition is that I should be less than or equal to right. That means the moment when I will meet right, we are going to come out from this loop. And inside the loop, I am traversing in my array, and if I get 1, so I am just going to increment my I, because as I said, we are not going to touch 1 because it will automatically arrange. But let's say we get 0, so what we are going to do is, we are going to swap the value of nums of I and nums of left with the help of temporary variable. So that's what I have done here, and after swapping we are going to increment our I and left both. But let's say we don't get 0 as well, so that means the last value which we can get is 2. And as I said, we are going to arrange 2 at right side, so that means we are going to swap the value of nums of I and nums of right. And after swapping, we are going to decrement our right. Here we are not going to increment our I because it may be possible the value we are getting is 0. And as I said, 0 must get into the left side, so it might be possible that 0 is not in the proper position. Now let's take the example 1 to understand it more better. So in the first run, at nums of 0, we are having the value 2. And as we got the value 2, so we will get into the else block, and now we are going to swap the value of nums of I and nums of right. And we know at nums of 0 we have the value 2, and at nums of 5, which is the last index, we have the value 0. So now we are going to swap them, and at nums of 0 we have the value 0, and at nums of 5 we have the value 2. So now we are going to decrement our right. Now my right will become 4. In the next run, again the value of I is 0, and at nums of 0 we have 0. So we will get into the elif block, and now we are going to swap nums of I and nums of left. As I and left both are 0, that means the value 0 will remain at 0th index. Now we are going to increment our I, which will become 1, also left as well. So now in the next run we are going to have I as 1, and at nums of 1 we have the value 0. So we will get into the elif block, and again we are going to swap the nums of I and nums of left, and as we know I and left both are 1, so that means 0 will remain at first position, and now we are going to increment I and left, which will become 2 now. In the next run, I will be 2, and at nums of 2 we have the value 2. So we will get into the else block, and now we are going to swap the value of nums of I and nums of right. So we know at nums of 2 we have the value 2, and at nums of 4 we have the value 1. So we are going to swap it, and now at nums of 2 we have the value 1 and at nums of 4 we have the value 2. So now we are going to decrement our right, which will become 3. And in the next run again we will get I as 2. So as we know at nums of 2 we have the value 1. So we are going to increment I, which will become 3 now. And in the next run we are going to have I as 3, and at nums of 3 we have the value 1 again. So now my I will going to be increment and it will become 4. As I has reached at 4, so we will come out from this loop because the value of right is 3, so the condition is not being fulfilled. So we will come out from this loop and going to return the nums, which is 0 0 1 1 and 2 2. So that's how I have solved this problem, and we can solve this problem with the help of counting short as well. And if someone knows the counting short, so they can actually use it to solve this problem. And also you guys can write down your approaches in the comment that how you have solved this problem. And thank you so much for watching this video and staying with me.